Welcome back to the sex talk. So, I wanted to do a follow-up talk. It's been a minute since I checked in about the hustle mindset, growing your business, doing what you love. I tend to see a lot of these what I consider to be like annoying, coachy, oh yeah, like, you know, the $1 million mindset and all of this stuff. All of that to say, there's some truth to it, and I'm going to break down what I mean by that. So, in my last video, and I'll link to it because it was several months ago, and if you subscribe to my newsletter, you probably just got that this week in a newsletter. It was called How I Overcame Hustle Mindset and Burnout and Still Made More Money Doing What I Love. So in that video, I actually talked about a friend of mine who is an artist who had been an artist, went through a breakup, and when they were looking for went through a breakup where the person had been supporting them, kind of like a benefactor, but my friend was self-employed as an artist, and so finding an apartment was proving to be difficult because everybody wanted pay stubs. And my friend sells her paintings for thousands of dollars, yet they wanted pay stubs. So of course, her paintings, her art is her livelihood, and she had to go get this job as a bartender, making pennies. But she really truly had this belief system that her art wasn't consistent enough for her to use it as something for proof of employment. And so she got a job. Well, she ended up getting a job, and then she wanted to quit after she got the apartment, and everybody was like, well, you still need the paycheck because you still need to make money. Her friends were telling her this. Now, these were all friends who worked at 9-to-5 jobs. And I personally also, side note, myself, when I was quitting agency work back in 2009, I opened my practice in 2007, and in 2009, I made the leap and quit my full-time job in mental health. And the people that I worked with told me at the time, you'll never make it in private practice. It's too hard. Most people don't survive. That mentality is pervasive amongst a lot of people, and particularly the older generation, the boomers. They came from a time where people weren't business owners, not like they are today, creators making their own money, business owners. So, this was a good 16, 17 years ago, and they said that to me, and of course, I was determined. And so that's kind of what my video is about today, is that determination and not having a plan B. So I refused. It was like not even an option that I was going to work for somebody else. No way, no how. Working at these agencies in mental health, I wasn't making enough money. Plus, I was beholden to the desk or to their hours, 9 to 5. And not to mention, they work you to the bone. So you've got this huge caseload, and you've got stacks of paperwork. So not to mention, I had a passion of wanting to help people with their sex lives and relationships, sex and gender. And I felt that there was a really strong need, and I was determined that I was going to do that. I also had another plan, and that plan was I wanted to work my own business so that I could work my own hours so that I could play music and do my other creative stuff, writing, which I do. I write music and I make films. So I could do that on the side and still also have a business that I felt passionate about. In my mind, there was no other option. Right? And so I think that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is when there's no other option. So back to my friend's story, when when I had told her, I said, look, the amount of money that you're going to make selling your paintings is going to hugely surpass what any paycheck is going to give you. I agree that there are many jobs that you can get as a paycheck, but this person is a painter, and so that's where their money comes from. And they make a lot of money doing it, and they just needed to make it be consistent. Well, I wanted to report back. Guess what? They had quit that job. It's been over a year, and they have consistently been making really good money every month, clearing about 10 to 12 grand every month selling their artwork and their paintings, as well as writing grants and getting grant money. So, all of that to say is that it's totally doable, guys, if you don't have a choice. So what holds us back a lot of times is we do have choices, right? We do have stable jobs. We've got these stable careers sometimes that we don't love, that affords us a nice 401k, that affords us this house, that affords us those, 2 vacations per year. But yet we're still beholden to someone else and doing the work for someone else, someone else's vision, someone else's passion. And I think that for many people, that's fine. In fact, when I first decided to go back to school and get go to school for my graduate school to become a therapist, I initially thought I would work in one of those agencies. I had done my undergrad in San Francisco, and I really wanted to work at like the Haight-Ashbury Clinic, or I really wanted to work at doing something with the LGBT community. Well, I ended up getting my degree in LA, and I ended up trying to go work at AIDS Project LA, APLA, for a while, and it was like volunteer, and they weren't going to pay me very much. And that's when I realized I had other things to do. I want to play music, so I had to work for myself. If you watched my last video, you know what I did to burn myself out, because I came from that mindset. I came from this idea that you've got to work 40 hours a week in order to make the money. And the thing that I quickly learned is, I was working 40 hours a week, but maybe I was spending 10 hours of that week on marketing. You don't get paid immediately on marketing. So you learn a different style of making money, and that transition can take a while. And it can be really, really scary. I get it. It can be so scary to go from having a job where you clock in and every hour that you work, you're getting money, you're making money, versus you're doing a lot of work on the front end here for no money. And then, later your business grows. It's kind of like getting a degree though, you guys. So if you went to graduate school or even got your bachelor's, that there was a period of time where you were making an investment in you, in your brain, in your mind, in your inner health, in your mental health, all of the things, so that you could finally do the thing that made the most sense to you, that meant the most to you. And you don't get to do that unless you put some investment in. And people always talk to me about my program. Well, how much does it cost? It's not a cost. It's an investment in you. And it's only a cost if it's something that you don't want to do, right? It's only a cost if you're halfway, if your foot's halfway in the door. If you're really committed to something, it's not a cost. It's an investment. Like I told you, I play music. So music is something that I love doing. It's something that I'm really passionate about. Mind you, it's not cheap to buy a really nice guitar. It's not cheap to buy the equipment that goes along with it. And so if I want a really nice guitar that's going to sound good, that's going to make my playing better, that's an investment. But if I want something that it's not something that I really super passionate about, like a really fancy set of skis. I'm not a skier, but let's say I'm going to buy a really fancy set of skis. Then I would have to be really invested in skiing, right? Then it would be an investment. Otherwise, it's just a cost, right? And so that's kind of the other thing about when you decide to do something. It's only a cost if you're not super committed to it. if you're committed to it, it's an investment in the longer term. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my program, which is Pleasure Psych. And in the program, I teach you how to become a sex expert so that you can build a lucrative, joyful intimacy coaching business doing what you love. And we go through everything. We focus on you, and we focus on all of the things about you. But we also talk about what's exciting for you, what's passionate. And I've got so many people in the program that they're excited about so many different things, and they're incorporating sex and pleasure into the business that they already have, into a business idea that they already have. So this program is really for people who already have the passion and drive to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like a cost. It's going to just feel like, it's, a cost. And on that note, it's funny because a lot of the students in my program are already enrolled in a graduate program, a super expensive graduate program. And then on top of that, they want to do this program. That's the level of commitment that is required to not see this as a cost, but as an investment in you. So yeah, it is, that's the thing that the coaches get right, is that there is a mindset. And because I've experienced it, and I do coaching, obviously, but I'm also a licensed therapist. So I come from this background, just academic background, go to school and get your, and then you're going to go and, be you're going to do what you're going to do. And so I became a business owner, and my entire business is based on therapy. But now I hire practitioners who have cultivated their own businesses. For example, there's a licensed therapist that is a sex therapist, and she loves working with sex workers. And now she's doing psychedelic assisted therapy. I just posted that video on the channel this week. That's a prime example of the type of people I hire. If I'm going to hire someone, number one, you're not going to work 9 to 5. You're going to make your own hours. Unless you want to work 9 to 5, you don't have to. So you make your own hours. 2, you cultivate your own voice and your own style. So yeah, you're working for me, which is something that I've been hard pressed to do, is work for other people. However, one of the things that I strongly encourage my practitioners is to develop their own voice, their own strengths, weave your passion into your business, because you want that business to be something that you wake up every day so excited to do, super excited to share with the world. It's a gift, right? It's your gift. So you're sharing your gifts with the world, and you're also allowing yourself to do it. So I guess this talk is, if you're still on the fence about leaving a 9 to 5 job. I have another friend, actually, a really good friend of mine, who is a lawyer, just quit her job. And in fact, today is her last day at work. And then she enrolled in a memoir writing class. She's enrolling in a couple of writing classes. It's contagious, guys. It's contagious. Once you start living your life and living out, this creative, passionate, joyful life, everybody else wants to do it. And I'm here to tell you that it's doable. It is so doable. So, figure out what you need. Figure out what it's going to take for you to undo that mindset. Because the longer you stay in it, it's like an abusive relationship. Not that employment is bad, you guys. I'm all for it. I know that health benefits are important. If you've got kids, I know you've got mortgages. I'm not bashing it. I'm someone that doesn't have kids. I'm someone that has, made a choice a long time ago not to have kids because my art was so important to me. However, the lawyer friend of mine has a kid, and she's doing it anyway. So, even if you're at that 9 to 5 job, maybe you want to stay for a year. save for an entire year. Don't go on any trips. Take your lunch to work every day. Don't buy any new clothes. Save up as much money as you can so that next year you can quit. Do that. And make a plan. Because that's kind of what I did. I'm a total planner. And in fact, in my last video, I talked about burnout and I had burnt out and then I had moved to New York City. I lived in New York City without working for a full year, and that was only because I had saved. And that was the beginning of the healing of my healing journey is closing my practice, closing my business in 2014 and going to New York and basically starting completely fresh. So it's totally doable. Undoing that corporate culture mentality, undoing the 9-to-5 mentality, and shifting into this mentality where you recognize that the work you put in here in your own business, your own, like whatever business you're cultivating, you could put in 3 hours today, 4 hours today. It's all getting clocked for a future date. So it's not hours for dollars anymore. It's because hours for dollars you cap. There's only so many hours in the week that you can work, and so you cap at the max amount of hours that you can put in. But when you own your own business and you have ways of making income that is not relying on you to show up all the time, then that's when you'll see some more growth. So these are all things that I teach in my program, is how to look into the future and see where you're showing up for hours and trimming those hours out and creating more systems where you don't actually have to show up all those hours, and you get some of that time back. You get to do what you love, and you still get to be sustainable in your business. It's a win-win. All right. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments. Feel free to email me. I'm at MOU at pleasurepsych.com. And I am looking forward to all your questions and hopefully working with you in the program in the very near future. Thanks. Bye.